Hello, my name is Herman McGee, and today I will be discussing the values, examples of the values, and how to identify the values. Right. So, what these values are, we're pretty much trying taking an argument, finding the root of the argument, summing it up to one word that is inclusive of everything in the argument, then trying to make that argument be inclusive of ours, so that we have the ultimately correct argument, or impactful argument. Right. So we identify these values through the I guess we would have to find a list of values and then see which one connects or applies most or is most inclusive of everything in the argument. So the first example that we were given to use was um, all student loans should be forgiven. I thought this one was relatively easy. It was easier than all the rest of them, but with every example that I was given, I tried to find the means of both the pros and the cons, and then try to find the end based off of the means, right? So the means for this one was I thought it was utility and ethics, and the end was economic prosperity. I said that because if you're getting rid of all of the debt that college students have accumulated through the years, I feel like your only goal would be to help them move on in life to become something greater without having to pay off that debt, which ultimately increases the economic prosperity. I looked at, uh, I think it was equity. I looked at equity for a second, but then I found that equity wouldn't isn't as an as sorry isn't as inclusive as economic prosperity is, or at least it relates more, right? The neg to this side would be, I thought the means was redistribution, and the end would be merit. So if you're actually actively working for, if you're working for scholarships and then you have a little bit of debt left after you're done with college, at least you can pay it off through your job. Or if you just get a full ride in the first place, then you would have to have student debt. So I feel like merit, just working for your earnings, is really the part of this. The next one was the police should be defunded. Um, I couldn't find the means for this one, but I thought the end was freedom. I said freedom because if they're defunded, then you get to do you get more freedom to be able to do what you want to do without the police being on you about everything. Uh, but now looking at it, I think the means to that would be autonomy, pretty much the law. I'm not sure if I said that right, but the law, which yeah, the neg the means for the neg was control, and the law also, but it's ordered to protect the rights and the civil liberties that humans are given, right? So instead of us not having anyone to help us, or maybe it was justice also, but I think protection would be the real end right there, because they're trying to protect, the people. Yeah. Um, I think this is the one I struggle with the most, but America should raise the voting age. So since I couldn't get it immediately, I tried to apply it to a situation. And then after I did that, I worked through it and saw that control would be the means to where we would get to. I think I came up with, it was wisdom and truth, but I couldn't decide between those two. So I'm really kind of stuck with this. So I need to know a little bit more. So I'm gonna try to keep up with this and learn more about it. But I think wisdom, just to say that if you have older people who know what they're doing, know what they're voting on more, they will give you a better statistic or more accurate vote, right? So it won't just be, oh, 18-year-olds are voting on whoever was on the news, right? The older people would actually know what they're talking about. So then I looked to see if equity could be a thing without wisdom. And then I said, well, if you do have equity without wisdom, it wouldn't be as much. Whereas if you have whereas you can't have wisdom without equity. Or you can, but it's not going to be as much also. Still struggling. But then the last one I did was we should build the wall, right? So the affirmative side with that, the means was safety, because I looked at it as a third. Well, undocumented immigrants are coming in and harming or stealing jobs, and the end to that was protection. We want to protect these civil liberties that we have, that we're given, because there aren't people trying to come in and hurt the city, right? And the negative part of that would be the means would be opportunity and access, which would lead us to equality. Because if you're letting everybody in, then we all have the access and the opportunities to be successful in this country, right? And in that sense, we're all equal. But if we're forced to stay out of it, then there is no equality. There's just, oh, yeah, I guess racism, or yeah. Thank you. That's all that I have. Thank you for your time. I'll see you Saturday.